Greeting, YouTube. There appears to be a school in Britain that has been suffering from a rash of library books not being returned. In an effort to curtail this crime wave, the school has put forth a plan. Each book would be scanned, and a student would then be required to give a fingerprint to prove who they are. When the book is returned, again, the book would be scanned, the student would be required to give a fingerprint, and the book would be returned to the stacks. Now, as you can imagine, someone such as myself, who has a strong love of personal freedom and a great deal of respect for civil liberties and civil rights, I'm opposed to this idea. You see, in the United States, and I realize that we are a backward country, in the United States, we have these things called library cards. The very, very low-tech versions of them are little pieces of paper that have your name on them. And when you take a book out, the person records that name on a piece of paper so that you can then return the book later because they know where it is. The higher-tech ones have a picture, so it's easier to figure out who you are, if you are, in fact, the person whose name is on that card. And the really high-tech ones have barcodes. Barcode, that sounds familiar. Which allow the librarian to swipe them quickly. The book is then linked to you in the database, and you can go on your way. In fact, the one in my city here even lets you go online, and you can extend the time period that you'd like to borrow the book. Very handy. My wife's used it on many occasions. But apparently, this piece of technology hasn't quite made it across the pond to Britain. So rather than adopt the concept of library cards, they would like to fingerprint all of the students in this school. Now, I don't imagine the people who are putting forth this idea are really concerned about library books. In fact, I don't imagine they're concerned about education of children at all. I see two motivations behind this particular policy. The first motivation is to get students, who will then become adults, comfortable with the concept of giving away their biometric information at the drop of a hat. Anyone who wants it, you can go ahead and have my biometric information. It's okay, I don't mind. And the second one is to gather a whole lot of biometric information on the population in Britain, because all of those students will eventually become adults. So then the government would then have access to a huge database, all with fingerprints of every single British citizen. Now, this system is being designed and operated by Microsoft, and they said it's very secure. I don't know how many of you operate computers that are using a Microsoft operating system, but I can tell you right now, they aren't secure. They aren't stable. They, in fact, suck. The only reason I don't have a Mac is that I like the fact that there's a whole lot more software out there for Microsoft systems. And I haven't switched over to Linux because I'm just not that technical savvy. Though I hear the latest release of Ubuntu is actually supposed to be very user-friendly. So yes, I'm appalled at the very idea that schools would want to fingerprint students so that they can take out a library book. I would be telling my kid that you're not using the school library. You can go to the city library, you can go to the internet, or I will buy you the book that you need to read. But I would not let my child have himself fingerprinted for school. Because I can't help to shake the feeling that the people that really want this information don't have your child's best interests in mind. Now, I realize that the people who may have the best of intentions right now, but just because the people today have the best of intentions doesn't mean the people who are going to end up with this information are going to have the best intentions. It's always very important before you would put a policy into place is that you imagine, how can this come back and bite me on the ass? And frankly, this thing has teeth like a saber-toothed cat.